So I watched the Backrooms like I don't know a couple of days ago, and it's just on my mind all the time now. I keep getting edits of it on like TikTok and videos about it on Instagram and like Reels, and I keep getting Twitter posts about it, and I'm like, oh my god, this is such a good movie. I know that there was some not controversy, but there was some thoughts about the movie that weren't so positive. There were some people who didn't like the movie at all. Some people said the movie sucked. Other people really liked the movie, and I wanted to come on here and say that I personally really loved the movie. I've been into the Backrooms ever since it probably. I wasn't there for the 4chan post, but I was there for the Kane Pixels Backrooms. I'm also a big fan of the Oldest View. Um, Actually, the Oldest View is probably one of my favorite analog. Does that count as analog horror, or is it just YouTube horror series? I don't know. Well, the Oldest View is one of my favorites. I really liked the context behind it. I really liked the. Well, this is not about the Oldest View. Maybe I'll talk about that later. But this is about the Backrooms. As soon as I saw it, I fell in love with the concept. I loved the idea of like you could no clip through reality and just fall into this not ethereal, this strange new world that doesn't follow that doesn't follow the rules of time, where it just kind of exists in all places at once, and it constantly is changing, and it's constantly moving around, and it's constantly developing and making new things. It's a really cool concept, and I love how this whole movie starts from just a post on 4chan, right? It was 4chan, and it was just this guy that was like, "Hey, I fell into this world. Just be careful. I fell into this place. Be careful. If there's like a monster." And another thing is that the original 4chan post. Okay, a lot of people think that the original 4chan post was insinuating that concept where if you constantly are in silence all the time, you will hallucinate and hear things that aren't there. But you can also take it under the context that, oh, there are creatures in this back room. And I think that if you want to stay true to the original back rooms, then yes, you should probably add creatures into the back rooms. And I know that was like a hot take when the movie was in development. People were like, "Oh my god, if there's a monster in the back rooms, I'm not going to be watching that." But dude, there was originally monsters in the back rooms. Not to mention in Kane Pixels, because this is Kane Parsons' backrooms. This isn't the 4chan posters backrooms, whatever their interpretation of it was. This is Kane Pixels' backrooms, and his backrooms had monsters in it since the very beginning. So I don't understand why people were hating on like the idea that there was going to be monsters, because there was always going to be monsters in the backrooms. Um, Also, take a glass of water every single time I say backrooms in this video. You'll be you will be healthy for life. Um, Let me think. I loved the concept of the backrooms, and I loved the idea. Like I said before, I love the idea of you being able to no clip outside of reality and stuff. It was a really cool concept, and I understand because like I seen someone's review on Letterboxd where they were like, I wish that they added the more liminal analog horror thing to it, where it was just this like unforeseen concept where people didn't really understand this whole thing. And I feel like that sentiment is still true to the original, to not the original, to the movie Backrooms. But I do understand the fact that some people did not like the movie Backrooms because it wasn't so based around the Backrooms. It was more character development, or not character development, because some characters didn't develop. But it was more or less disappointing in that factor. I can definitely understand that, because there was not any questions answered about anything about the YouTube series in the backrooms of the backrooms. So I definitely understand why people didn't felt that kind of disappointment, where they were like, I thought we were gonna get some sort of answer to whatever the hell is going on. But I feel like this series is going to continue even after the movie is done. So I wouldn't worry too much about whether or not the Backrooms is going to end like this, because it's definitely not. And like with the amount of money that this movie made, I'm sure there's going to be a part 2 or even a part 3. I honestly, I don't really know, but I'm excited to hear to know about that kind of stuff. I really hope that they do make another movie because I feel like okay, I'll talk about this a bit later, but I really love Clark and I was so sad when he died. Um but I understand why he died. Um I'll get to that in a second. But I understand that people were disappointed about the Backrooms movie. It really sucks that those people didn't get what they wanted, but you can't always get what you want. The Backrooms movie was really, really good, and I just really wanted to talk about. Um, I really wanted to talk about Clark and Mary and their character development, because that is probably my favorite part of. Well, that's the main part of the movie. That's like the focus of the movie. So I definitely understand where that sentiment comes from because that's the whole point of the movie, right? So I really wanted to talk about Clark. He has probably been okay. I do want to preface this by saying I don't watch a lot of movies. This is such a weird thing to say. I feel like, and a weird thing to confess because everyone watches movies, I feel like, but I don't really watch movies that often because I get so emotionally invested in these characters, and when something bad happens to absolutely any of them, I feel absolutely terrible. Yes, I cried during Wicked. Yes, I cried during Jurassic Park. And yes, I will probably cry when Beyond the Spider-Verse comes out in theaters. Um all this to say, the reason I don't watch a lot of movies is because I get so emotionally invested in these characters and I just feel so deeply for every single character that not even I don't have to relate to the character at all. I just when something bad happens to a character that's even a little bit likable, I immediately I immediately feel so terrible and I start crying. It's so bad. But the moment I saw Clark, I picked Clark. The moment I saw Clark was I just knew I was gonna like this freaking guy. I just knew it. Even the very first part of like the therapy session where he's like, I hurt people. I don't know why I do it. It's just the way I'm wired. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Oh my god. Dude. Now, I'm not gonna say I relate to this character because I don't, but there are some aspects of his character that I do relate to heavily. But this is not one of them. I don't believe that I hurt people. Um, I actually go out of my way to not do that. So sorry if you can hear my cat; she's running around like crazy. Um, and I was thinking, like, wow, I already know that this character is gonna be so complex, and I'm gonna love him so much. And what was entirely out of left field was Mary's own backstory and her story about how she is in this. I don't know. She's in this kind of limbo of her mother and trying to understand why her mother did that to her. And the fact that she could not let go of the past and she kept that rock with her. And I do genuinely believe that the rock breaking after she was hitting um Captain Clark really hard with it. I don't really know how to explain that. She was hitting him really hard with the rock a bunch of times and it broke. I think that was a symbolic of her finally letting go of the past and her saying that like I can move on from this finally. I think that's what it was. But honestly, oh my god, I feel so bad saying this, but I was really thinking about Clark the most throughout the entire movie. Probably because he is the main character. So I hope that doesn't make me sound terrible because I don't want to be terrible, but I really really do like Clark a lot more than I like Mary, but I think they're both very very complex characters who deserved a character arc. And I really hope that Mary gets hers, but she kind of did. But I hope that if there's another movie or if she's going to be mentioned at all in the YouTube series after this, that she'll at least get a mention or like a cameo. I don't know. That'd be really cool. But in the scene where Clark is talking to well when Clark kidnapped Mary in the back rooms and tied her up to the chair and he's sitting across from her and he made her wear the wig that was his wife's well it was technically the wife's hair. You know what I'm talking about. If you've watched the movie you friggin' know. um I was really thinking, I was like, oh my god, this guy's lost his mind. And at first, when I first came across when she first came across him next to that mural of Captain Clark, I think he was either lifting someone up to a window or he was eating them. I saw a lot of people saying that he was eating them, or I saw a lot of people that he was lifting them up to something, which I think really makes sense that he was lifting them up because um Clark, when he was picked up by Captain Clark, he didn't really react so scarily. He just thought it was normal. But I think I'll get back to that in a second, hopefully if I remember. Um I was thinking this guy really lost his mind and that's so terrible. But I was also thinking, wow, I think that this isn't actually Clark. That's what I was thinking. I was like, there's no way that this is Clark. Right? And he's also dressed in different clothes, but I also know that there was clothes in the back room, so like he could have gotten clothes from there. I don't really know. And also, I really wanted to say that when with Kat and Bobby, I was genuinely wondering if Clark knew, because Clark had already been in the back rooms. He had already known what this was all about, or he at least mapped out a certain portion of it. And you see that he's mapped it out when he goes to the therapy session with Mary, and he has like a little layout of the back rooms, and he's like, "Oh, it's crazy. It's big," and it's trying to explain a dog to a person who's never seen a dog and telling them to draw it. It's something like that. And I thought that maybe he had already known what was down there. And I'm wondering if Clark deliberately tried to sacrifice Bobby or Kat. For what reason, I don't know what he'd have to gain from that, but maybe he'd already lost his mind before that. Because like, imagine you are this guy and your life freaking sucks right now. You live in the place that you work. And all of a sudden you find this completely new world. Like, you genuinely have to wonder if you're going crazy, right? And maybe he had already lost his mind since the first time he'd been in there. I really don't know. But a lot of people that I've seen on like TikTok and their like reviews and stuff, they're like, oh, I wonder if, or I think that Clark was trying to sacrifice Kat or Bobby for some reason. Or I saw that someone said he was like a serial killer, that he's just like deliberately killing these people. But I know that my bias is affecting this. But I really don't think that he did that. I think he was just really trying to get proof for his therapist, and he needed someone to go with him. Sorry if you hear oh my god, if you hear that, that's so embarrassing. That is my cat's litter box robot doing its cycle. And I was thinking, well then what would he have to gain from doing that? From killing Kat and Bobby? And I really don't think that he was trying to do that. I don't know. But another thing I wanted to bring up was I want to go back to the scene where he kidnapped Mary and he tied her up. And my favorite scene in the movie by far is this scene where he goes on this little like monologue about, I don't think I want to change. I think I want to stay here. And that, okay, and then he talks, and then Mary obviously yells at him. She's like, it's just the way you're wired. And then he talks to Captain Clark, and he's like, we don't have to change. It's just the way we're wired. Oh my god. Oh my god. I really love that scene. After the fact, when I first watched it, I was kind of afraid, and I didn't really feel like crying. But after, I definitely did cry, and I felt so terrible for Clark. And I know he's not a great person, and I know he doesn't really deserve... Well, I feel like anyone deserves redemption. Everyone deserves their good, happy ending. So he died he did die brutally, but he died so terribly and so suddenly that I was in shock for the rest of the movie. I was like, oh my god, my favorite character's dead now. I felt so bad. But I was thinking about this line after the fact, and I was like, oh my god. We don't have to change, it's just the way we're wired. And I was thinking about the world as a whole. And I was thinking, the world changes so fast. And I don't know if you can tell by my videos, I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but I have a terrible relationship with change for my whole life. I personally, I hate change. I hate when things are changing. I can't even redecorate my room because it makes me so nervous when things are changing that I just can't handle it. Um, and I really hate to bring it up, but I do have autism, and that's probably what it is. And I really hate talking about it like that because it makes it sound like, I don't know, it's just kind of embarrassing to admit. But dude, when Clark said that, it really resonated deeply within me that the world changes so incredibly fast, and you can look back at yourself, and it's a terrifying, terrifying thing to look back on yourself and realize that, oh my god, I've changed as a person. And change is inevitable. It absolutely is inevitable. You have to change if you want to adapt to the world. You cannot stay the same. But that doesn't exactly nullify the fact that it's still terrifying, right? It's still a very scary thing. And me personally, I just can't handle change. But I have to do it. I have to change if I'm going to keep up with the world. And even looking back and noticing that, because I have a natural schedule that I do every single day, and I do it to a T every single day. But sometimes those small little things, they'll change throughout the progress of time, and you never even notice until you look back and you're like, oh my god, my schedule, even my schedule that I stuck to for so long has changed. It's a little bit different now, and that alone makes me nervous because I'm wondering now, like, oh my god, am I gonna get bad karma for my schedule changing? I didn't even notice, stuff like that. I'm very paranoid about that kind of thing. And just having a character, there's probably other characters out there that are representative of this type of thing, but I don't know, Clark's thing where he just is so terrified of change. He's so terrified of being a different person, of being a good person, being a better person, that he just wallows in his own despair all the time. And you can see throughout the entire movie that he's like this. I mean, he still has a photo of his wife on his table, and he's still drinking, he's still doing, self-destructive behaviors. He doesn't even want to admit that he's sorry. He doesn't even want to admit that he's a bad person. And I feel like that's what most bad people do. They don't even realize that they're being bad people. I actually had a video about this, about what constitutes a good person and a bad person, and ultimately my general synopsis of that video that I didn't post, that I probably won't post, was it's a completely subjective what is bad and what is good. You can't really, your definition of bad versus someone else's is probably entirely different, because you could say, oh, murder is bad, and some person would be like, actually, you could say something like that, and someone would always disagree with you. But my ultimate moral at the end of that video was that you can't really judge a person, because sometimes even their views are skewed. I feel like when you're mentally ill, your point of views and sorry, my cat's in our litter box. Your point of views and your opinions on the world are not reliable. I feel like when you're so deep into an episode or something that you cannot trust your own judgment, that's when you need someone else to step in for you. I feel like you need someone else to help you. But the thing is that you can't get help unless you admit it yourself. So it's always this sort of, you have to be self-aware enough to ask for help kind of thing. And that's not always the case for a lot of people. Not a lot of people can do that. But I feel like Clark is one of those people where he just can't admit the fact that he's not a good person, or he's not doing well, even though he's in therapy. He is in therapy, but I feel like the therapy that he's doing isn't really helping him, because he doesn't really know what's wrong. He doesn't really know what his deal is, because even when he's role-playing as talking to his wife with Mary, he just can't admit the fact that he did something wrong, because he thinks that the entire world is against him. He thinks that everything that has ever been done to him, everything that's being done to him is all the world's fault. And he can't just admit the fact that he's doing it to himself. That he's part of the reason why his life is so terrible. Because he's done this. I mean, he's overworking himself. Yeah, that's true. And he's just trying to make a living because his wife couldn't afford, or his wife is doing schooling. But it's like, dude, and I know that you probably shouldn't feel bad for a character like this, but I just feel bad for him because I hate when people are so unself-aware and they just think the world is against them. Because I used to be like that. I used to be like, oh my god, like everything that's ever happened to me, it's out of my control. I can't do anything at all. But I feel like it is somewhat in my control because I can choose to ask for help. And I guess the step forward of that type of thing is, yes, I need to ask for help. I need help on this thing that I need, that's wrong with me. I need help. But Clark just can't admit that. He just can't do it, and I feel so terrible for him. I feel so terrible that he's suffering and he doesn't even know that it's his fault, that he feels like he can't do anything to he feels like he can't do anything. That's it. He just feels like he has to take it, go with the flow. But I think that maybe Mary wasn't a suitable therapist for him. I feel like he probably needed someone to, well, she did at the end, but that was with a lot of pressuring and a lot of stress on her part, and she probably could have said it, I don't know if she ever would have said it so cruelly if she was in a life or death situation. I'm not blaming her by any means, because that's such a scary situation to be in. Like, imagine getting kidnapped and you don't even know where you are, you don't even know what's happening, and he's eating people and he's going insane. Like, you just want to tell them whatever they want to hear, right? So I definitely don't blame her for something like that, but maybe he could have benefited from having another therapist before he went insane and went to the Backrooms. But I don't know. I just feel like I deeply resonate with the fact that he doesn't want to change, because sometimes I don't want to change either. I don't want to, well, I want to become a better person. I'm always striving to be a better person. Every single time I do anything at all, I'm always considerate of other people. I always try to include everyone, that I can. I always try to be kind. But I'm always striving to be a better person, whether it's for myself or for other people, but it's mostly for myself because, I don't know, I would like to be a good person. I want to look at myself and think, wow, I am doing great. That's a goal of mine, I think. And it's not super far-fetched because I've been doing super terrible. Well, no, I haven't now. I'm not doing super terrible right now, but I have been before, and I know how that feels. And you can't really avoid terrible things happening to you. You can't really avoid feeling emotions that are completely out of your control. But you can control how you react to these negative things. You can control how to stabilize yourself, how to ground yourself. And sometimes people can't do that, but sometimes other people just need like that healthy push. They just need that healthy thing, someone there to remind them that it's completely okay to do things that it's completely okay to do some selfish things sometimes, like just giving yourself space, or telling people honestly, like, hey, what you're doing is really bothering me. It's totally okay to do any of that. I forgot where I was going with that, but that was just a side tangent, I guess. When talking about Clark, I was talking about change. That's what I was talking about. I think that ultimately, unfortunately, as the world continues to rotate, nothing's going to stop for you. Nothing is going to... the world isn't going to pause because you're not ready. It's just going to keep going and you're going to get left behind. So when I was younger, I was very stressed about this kind of thing. I was very stressed that the world will keep going on without me, even though I'm not ready. The world is going to keep rotating. And that's very scary. And I was so scared that I couldn't sleep for like days probably because I was so nervous. Sorry. I was really stressed about this concept because I was thinking, oh my god, the world moves so fast and I move so slow. I move so slow that I just can't keep up. And I still sometimes share the sentiment to this day because I just can't continue to move on with the world because I just can't handle it sometimes. It's very scary. But I think that living my life, learning and doing things and making bad decisions, making good decisions, making any decision at all, and I'm thinking, I think it's gonna be okay. It's okay if I move a little bit slower than other people. It's okay if I take my time a little bit longer than other people. And I think that people tell me that I learn really fast, but I don't think that's very true. I feel like I have to experience things on my own first. I feel like I have to I feel like I have to experience these things on my own first so that I can understand it better. Because if someone tells me, "Oh, things are going to change and things are going to be different," then I'm just going to be like, "Okay, dude, whatever." But if I experience it myself, I'm like, "Oh man, things really do change." Then it kind of feels like I can actually put my foot forward and actually do it. And that's why I feel so terribly for Clark, because he just can't do that. He just can't handle the idea. And I feel like he was doomed from the start. It's nice to see a flawed character. Not it's because I feel like when you see a flawed character, you expect them to get their character arc. You expect them to get better. And for this case, that's not the case. He didn't get to. He died, and I feel like he died thinking like I don't know. I feel like he knew that monster was going to kill him because I think that he would rather die than change. I think that he would rather die than be a better person because it's just too much work. It's just too much work to put in the effort to be a good person. And that's what really hits home for me because I honestly thought the same when I was younger. Or I honestly thought a lot of things. But that was the main thing. I think that I didn't want to put in the effort to be a better person or to like be a better person. I was never a bad Oh my god, I was just a bad person to myself. Okay, I would never hurt another person in my life. I would never do that. That is not what I'm trying to get at. Sorry. I was never hurting other people on purpose. So that's where me and Clark differ. But I was hurting myself on purpose. And that's where we kind of are the same because he also did the same thing, I feel like. So that's why he's on my freaking list. Okay, let me tell you that much. He's on my kin list. Let me tell you that freaking much. Because he's really cool. And I love to see a character, especially, I don't know if I'm too woke, but a character of color be so flawed. Because I'm a person of color. I'm not black, but I'm a person of color, and seeing other characters be represented in media is very nice. And he's a good character. He's a very good character. It's not a caricature. He's just a good, deep, complex character. I feel like you don't really get that because a lot of people in horror movies are like white. It feels like so seeing a character of color is very, very cool, and like having them be flawed, having them be a person, which is really rare. Having them be a person is such a cool concept, and I'm very happy that they chose the casting for Clark to be a person of color. And I really like the actor too. He's really cool. Yeah, I guess that I really want to talk about Clark, and I feel like I could delve deeper into his psyche, but I'm just like when I talk out loud, I sound significantly more stupid than when I type up things, and I don't really feel like writing a script. I don't feel like writing a front script, because I just wanted to talk. I just wanted to test my new freaking mic. If you can't tell, I got a new mic. Oh hell yes. I just wanted to see how good this mic is. I'm just kind of holding it up right now, like I'm just rocking back and forth and holding this thing up. Hang on, the video's about it. I'm at my limit. Hang on. As I was freaking saying before I ran out of time, I have a new mic and I'm trying it out, and I'm trying to make a new video. I'm trying to write a script for a video actually. So I really hope that turns out good. You know, I feel like I'm so nervous to write a script because I'm really bad at reading things out loud, and also stutter over my words a lot, and I kind of slur my words, and I also like kind of have this weird like impediment. I don't have a speech impediment at all, but sometimes I'll like pronounce things the wrong way, and it's so embarrassing, and I hate it. So I hope that reading out a script is gonna be okay for me. It's probably gonna sound a little bit different because this is just me talking naturally. Um, but me reading is a little bit different. I feel like. Well, you guys will see it when you see it. Hopefully, I'm making a new video hopefully soon. I just wanted to make this video because I wanted to try out the new mic, and I also wanted to talk about the Backrooms and also about change. Um, I wrote a letterbox review about it that I got way more into depth about. That was actually my first letterboxed review ever. I don't even have letterboxed before that because I didn't know it existed until my friend told me, like, oh my god, you should get letterboxed and like tell your thoughts on the letterbox review. And I was like, oh, you're so right. I should probably do that. And I don't know, maybe I'll watch more movies this year, hopefully, and might write more reviews because that was really fun. That was really cool. But then I looked on Letterboxd and I was like, ah, oh, dude, why are there so many people that just kind of do one word reviews? Isn't the whole like concept of, I was gonna say the Backrooms of Letterboxd to be like this in-depth review about how you feel, not just this thing to get likes and clicks. But I guess that's what every social media is now, right? Getting like the most likes and clicks and whatever, getting the most reposts, getting the most retweets, getting the most likes everywhere. That's just what it is now, which is, that's fine. I just prefer more in-depth videos. I mean, I just watch video essays all freaking day. What else? Because I haven't posted in like 2 months, so like I feel like I need to do like a life update. Nothing else has been going on really. I'm trying to, like I said before, watch some more movies and stuff. Because I want to be, I just want to be well versed in movies. Because like when people ask me, "Oh, have you watched this?" and I have to be like, "No," it's like so embarrassing. I'm like, "Ugh, I'm such a loser, such a friggin' freak, such a loser." So I really want to watch more movies and like be well versed in stuff like that. I feel like it'd be cool and fun. Sorry if you can hear people in the background. This mic is so good that it picks up everything. Picks up absolutely everything. There's no like noise canceling thing or whatever that my other mic had. But dude, I think that's freaking it. I think that's it. I just really want to talk about the Backrooms. I feel like this wasn't super in depth and it's not as super cool as I wanted it to be. I just wanted to talk about freaking talk about myself. Because everything loops back. Everything's connected to me specifically. Let me tell you that freaking much. That's a joke, obviously I'm joking. But moral of the story, hopefully you can become, if you're not already, self-aware enough to be able to put that one step forward to better yourself. Not only for yourself, but for the people around you, for the people who love you. You need to improve yourself. If you feel like you're doing bad, if you feel like you're being bad, you're being bad, like you're a freaking dog. If you feel like you're not being the best person you can be, put that effort forward to actually try to be a better person, because everyone loves a good person. You're not a movie character. You can't be bad all the time. There has to be some good. Otherwise, I don't know. Otherwise, life doesn't feel as fulfilling. It feels like if you're not a good person, then like, what else are you doing? What else are you freaking doing? Busy being miserable and being a hater. I hate when people say that. I hate when people say that they're haters, that they're professional haters. I see that on the internet all the time, and I'm like, dude, do you find joy in making other people miserable? Is that like your genuine strive to be in your life, is to make other people miserable? Like, you actually suck. Like, you're actually a terrible person. I feel like those people don't really care that they're terrible, but I don't know. I feel like, dude, your life has to be terrible for you to act like that on the internet. And I also know that there are such things as bullies, and they overcompensate for the fact that they're insecure themselves, and they try to better bully other people so that they can feel as down as they do. And I definitely understand the concept of bullies, but I don't know. Like, it just seems unfulfilling, and it seems not pleasurable to be a terrible person. Because why would you want people to hate you when there are people who can love you? I feel like love is the driving force of a lot of things. I feel like love is absolutely the absolute. You were born with love. You know, you are born with, you are born automatically loving your mother just from the very start. So it's like, dude, just I don't know, be a good freaking person. I mean, there are so many things you can love as opposed to so many things you can hate. And I know a lot of people hate things that are different than them. That's a very interesting thing because I honestly get it, because when something is different, it's weird, right? It's like, why would you do this? Why would you be like this? But it's also like, why would you judge someone else for living their life to the fullest, especially if they're not harming anyone else? Like, why are you judging someone else for something that, makes them happy? You know, it's just like that thing where it's like, I hate new things, so I'm just gonna stay old forever. Or like, I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to properly articulate people that um, feel the need to hate on others for something that they don't understand. You know, but like, as long as they're not harming anyone else and they're living their life to the fullest and they're like, doing whatever, it's like actually whatever. Like, it is not any of your business what other people do in their free time, right? Especially if it's not actively harming other people or things. Like, I don't know. It's, let me think. Hmm. Huh. Huh. Let me freaking think. Anyways, moral of the freaking story: absolutely put that step forward to improve yourself. I mean, you saw Clark, you saw how he died. And I feel like that monster, oh, that's what I was talking about. That monster's like a representation of everything he hates. Like, and not just the overall look of it. It's just like a representation, because he talks about how it's also him. Um and I feel like he knew that that monster, or himself, he was going to get himself killed somehow, deep down. And do you really want, you as a person, and I mean you, do you really want someone else to, or do you really want to be the reason of your own demise? Isn't that terrible? Isn't that like the one thing you don't want? You don't want to end your own life. And I don't mean that literally, I mean that metaphorically, because, or I guess I mean it both ways, because, like, who wants to be the reason that they die, especially when it's in your control, right? If it's out of your control, then, like, actually, I don't know. It's sort of like, you want to improve yourself, you want to get better. And I feel like a lot of people who even are really mentally ill and stuff, they it's miserable to be like that. It really is, because it really sucks. But don't you desire to feel better? You know, it's not easy. It's not easy. It's way easier said than done. Way easier said than done. I know that. Um, but moral of the friggin' story: you really have to push yourself. You really have to take that step forward to help yourself. And Clark never got the chance to do that, so I think you should try your best to do that in honor of Clark. Okay, in honor of this guy. Um, because I really fell in love with this character, and it's taken everything in me not to change my profile picture on Letterboxd to Clark, because, um, dude, that it's gonna be like, I've watched one movie in my life and I rated it 5 stars and I liked it, and it's also my profile picture. Like, yeah, this guy freaking likes the Backrooms, but um, I don't know. He's really cool, and I love all the art of him, doing all that stuff, where he's just like being cute, and like the filters on him, and like the sped up versions of him like running around taking that stool. He's so cute. He's so cute. I love him. Um, I really do hope that he gets a cameo at least again in the Backrooms, because it's really cool. And I'd be a big fan of Beast. I started screaming, and yelling, and crying. That's what I would be doing if he came back, because I miss him so much already. He's not even gone, and I miss him. Well, he is gone, and I miss him, but he hasn't been gone for that long. But I miss him so much. Um, yeah. So, moral of the friggin' story, like I said before, put that step forward to better yourself. If not for yourself, then for other people. Sorry if you can hear. Sorry if you can hear things in the background. Um, Embarrassing. Um, but yeah, that's my moral of the freaking story for this video. Tested out my new mic. Sounds real cool, I'm sure. You can hear everything now. But until next time, Like, subscribe, comment down below what you think. I would love to hear your theories on the Backrooms. That'd be really cool. Yeah. Bye, world. #bye.